Fatfish audience, this is a special Fatfish edition of the show without Brad. He's on an assignment right now. He'll be back next Wednesday for our 100th episode. But if you're ever pissed off that I'm still bartending, that's the reason why I'm still bartending right there, because I've gone to his facility called Physical. I go to the one on West Cheyenne near Fort Apache because, as I said in the precursor, this is a PT stud, Zack McConnell. He's a guy that probably has, I don't know how many clients in his Rolodex for the whole place, but for 10 years I've been going there. So I got some questions for him. We're going to talk some sports. But Zach, what's up, man?
What's going on, buddy?
Good. We're getting that. Tell me, ask you this, sports wise. Michigan's out, but Michigan State's still in. You're not one of those wimps that jumps over to Michigan State, are you?
No, I'm cool with them. I'm cool
Okay.
with them. Honestly, they've got the most class. Except that one year with the you remember the trouble with the snap in Ann Arbor.
Yeah.
The state fans
Great.
were kind of garbage there. Just not the best representation in them. But I'm cool with them as long as it's not Ohio State. I'm cool. And really, you got Purdue that got knocked out last night, so that was a close game. So really, who else you got in the Big Ten to represent now?
Right. It's
So
still it's always there's not a lot of Cinderellas. Most of the number ones are still left, and we'll whittle that down to the final four after this weekend. But again, baseball season started. There's a certain at my age, there's a certain still allure to that and innocence. And do you get into baseball season starting and do you get excited?
yeah, man, they just had their opening kickoff with the Dodgers, and we lost two of those. But they've been decent. I mean, they were high scoring games for the Dodgers. They're just that payroll doesn't compare, man. I mean, the Tigers are spending 150 mil. What are the Dodgers spending this year? What's their payroll?
Their payroll is about 510 million. It's two NFL teams. All right.
You just can't
Oh,
compete with that, man.
you
That's
can't.
crazy.
You can't.
But
That's the
we're excited.
problem.
That was a good playoff run last year for us. So, I think in Detroit, like I've had a blast going to the opening day games. It's just always cold. Like the players have coats on, like you're tailgating with your winter coat in the parking lot. It's fun though.
Sure it is. And you come from the Midwest, you come from Detroit. We had you on the show before. Um, because what I think you do is an art. I mean, I want to segue a little bit and we'll go back to sports into what you do. And what you do is, and I thought about this question. How many times do you hear a person, and I'm one of them, they go to their doctor and the doctor recommends surgery, but the person comes to you and the positive attitude that you and your staff, I'm going back 10 years with a guy named Jimmy. You must hear that all the time that people say, I need surgery. And two-part question. One, you question that. And two, isn't that more of a challenge for you to get that person well?
Yeah, I would say, man, like how many people come in and just say, "Hey, I'm here because I have to. The insurance needs me to do these few visits so that it gets covered, that I get this and this and this." And it's sad that that's like their notion going in, like this isn't going to work. I'm going to have to get surgery. Um, it's frustrating, And I think about it from like a patient standpoint. Like no one wants to be told, "Yeah, you're going to get fixed if we cut you up." And really, how it's pitched, like how is that a guarantee? How many people out there had surgery and then it's like, yeah, it didn't really help. It feels like 50% better, but then it goes back to being whatever it is, right? So that's frustrating. But like, look what the moneymaker is. There's some people that definitely need surgery. You tried PT, you tried other stuff, it's not working. You need to get back to doing what you need to do. But for a lot of folks, why do that? Why put yourself in that position? How much expense are you putting in, right? I think like low back pain is one of the examples. It's one of the most costly things to treat. Like talk about healthcare prices. It's because of how expensive that is, man. I mean, you were talking like $50,000 a pop to get those surgeries. So
Oh,
just from a cost standpoint, pain standpoint, like why not try something else first?
exactly. I'm one of those guys. Next question to you on that. Of all the ailments you see in your staff and in your experience, and I'm one of them, is the lower back the most common?
Probably. Yeah, I would say like I think the stat out there is like 80% of people will have a severe case of low back pain sometime in their life. So I think everybody's at least had like a flare up. But then when you get into like the chronic thing, like, hey, this thing's been going on 10 plus years, And then, oh, I've got not just my back, but now I'm getting some radiating stuff down my legs. Like it's one of the things, like if you got a bum shoulder, like that sucks, right? But like you can kind of get by with it. If your back's bothering you, it's
You
hard to do
definitely.
just about anything.
Yeah, yeah. And you'll see people in my business. I'm a bartender, and you know that. But for people that are going to watch this for the first time, and I have to stand on my feet. And bottom line is, I've seen more bartenders go out of the business because of bad backs and bad knees. Probably the one thing that takes them out, they want to do longevity. So I watched the approach. Now, Zach is over at the Physical. He's the director of the one on West Cheyenne and Fort Apache. There's 5 locations throughout the Vegas Valley. What impresses me the most, and it's a tribute to you and your predecessors that ran, it, especially Jimmy, is the approach of the staff is positivity. And when you get a client in there, would you call them a client or do you call them a patient? What's the right terminology?
I usually say patient. I mean, a lot of times people are coming in with that healthcare like background, right? They got a referral. Some clients, if you're just paying out of pocket, maybe it's more fitness based. But I think for a lot of folks, yeah, you're a patient, man. I'm trying to help you out, trying to get you back to health.
I sit in your, you guys are prompt, but I'll sit in your in your waiting area and talk to your great staff. Rosa and Dee are great, phenomenal, fun people to talk to. But a lot of the patients there, they have negative attitudes, and I walk in and say, you know what? I go, why are you even doing this if you're going to be negative? Because the guy's trying everything. This staff is doing everything they can to make it a positive. Attack it. And so I look at it this way, and I'm going to brag. When you give me an exercise to do, I do it. I came in with both shoulders effed up a couple weeks ago. And Zach, and by the way, Zach, I got those bands on Amazon for only $9.99. They were cheaper than Big Five. And
There you
I'm
go.
doing the exercise that he showed me to do. I hooked the band up to one of my trees in the back and did this kind of motion, and I whatever, feel great. You got to. So how do you? Yeah, and you obviously train a lot of your staff. What do you do with the real negative person? Do you just say, okay, you got 40 minutes in your own mind? You're not gonna tell them that. Is there ways mentally you deal with that in an approach talking to
Yeah, no
them?
doubt. Yeah, I mean, it's tough, right? But like, I always come at it with the frame of reference, like these people have a really crappy situation. Like you're probably coming into PT most of the time when like you're hurting, right? Like you've tried everything else, you're frustrated. Some of these guys too and gals that come in, like, they're older and you start to get like discouraged, man. Like, is this going to be the rest of my life? I'm banged up like this. I can't move. So I always just try to just not take it personal, right? It's like they're coming in not in a good spot. And so I think if I can show you things and get you feeling better, like that's what creates like a buy-in, right? Like if you're negative about stuff, like I'm going to talk less about it and just show you like, hey, like, are you feeling a little bit better? We're seeing some progress. And sometimes you just need to kind of keep that in the forefront. Like if you focus on all the negative, like, yeah, how much it hurts, whatever, that sucks. So if somebody comes in and I'm like, how are you feeling today? Right? Like, oh yeah, it sucks. I hurt. Like, yeah, of course. Right. But like, hey, what have you been up to? Right. Are you feeling a little bit better? You've got that thing you were working on, like always putting it back to what they're trying to get back to. Cause then I think you start to open it up. Right.
Well, it's great. I mean, I'm sitting on. I'm not kissing your ass, but I mean your staff. Justin, for example, has worked with me in the last sessions I've been in, and I said, "What gets you a high?" He goes, "When I look on my computer at your chart and look where you were with your rotations and your flexibility, and then when we write you off, that gets me high." And that means in 6 weeks, we took you from a pain level of 8 to where you could dance like Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. So I get that. Again, but I'm big into PT. Um, Schooling now. So what is your level of aggressiveness with new technology? Are you always on it? Like is there a reference you go to, a website that maybe there's a new way to do a back exercise? Are you on that and you demand that of your staff to look at those things?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I use a lot of different resources. I've had some really good training, some stuff out of college with a good group. It's called Institute for Clinical Excellence. They're awesome, and they've got different live courses. You fly out, you go out to these courses, and you're learning like the latest and greatest stuff. And it's not taught by like in school, for example, right? The people that are teaching stuff in school, they're professors who are like 50, 60, 70. Like they haven't been practicing. They've been in behind the books and doing research stuff. Like they're not out in the field. So I would rather listen to people who are actually treating and seeing the stuff work and trying out these new things. So I think if you're not doing that, like you're not growing. People are going to go to the stuff that is like the latest and greatest and the stuff that works, right? So I use a lot of their stuff. And then really with like PT, there's so many things that keep coming out. There's new research that comes out, and actually as a therapist you have to keep taking new courses every year. You've got to take about 10 to 20 hours of new material to in order to renew your license. So if you're not like staying up with stuff, you just can't practice.
If you're interested in this profession, what's the schooling process as far as longevity through the college and then the actual hours on as an intern? What start to finish? Is it 5 years?
Well, it's going to be 7 to 8
7?
total. Yeah, because you got to get if you don't get a bachelor's degree, you at least have to take a lot of these other courses. So you're basically going to get a bachelor's degree. Then you got to apply to school. You got to take a graduate exam to get into school. And then once you're in, you got a couple of years of actual classwork. And then you're that last year, it's almost like a residency. You're out in the field, you're doing different settings. Once you do that, then you take your board exam for whatever state you're going to, and then you've got to take a national board. And then once you're in, you're in. But it's definitely a lengthy process, and that's kind of the frustrating part too. Is like one, you've got so many new schools that are coming out, and they're just pumping out kids, right? And then where do the kids go? Where do these new grads go if there's no jobs, right? That's one thing, right? So it's kind of just saturating the market with new people. The other thing is the cost, man. It's like the stuff that I've learned more outside of school in my rotations and just practicing than I did in school. So why do I have to spend 150,000 on this education where it's like real world experience is going to teach you so much more? So I would love to see it turn into like a trade program, right? Like you get in as an apprentice, you build yourself up, and you learn from like that real world approach. But as of right now, like you got to get into the school, pay the piper, and go through that whole rigmarole of getting your degree like that.
That's Zack McConnell. I'm Fish from the Fat Fish Podcast. Brad will be back Wednesday. Zach runs the physical therapy clinic or facility, whatever you want to call it, but it's on West Cheyenne near Fort Apache. 5 of them in the Las Vegas Valley. Highly recommended from the Fish Man. Many bartenders. If you got a problem, try and get in. Get a referral. You have to have a referral to get in. I've worked over the 10 years I've been there. I've seen many interns work with you, and a lot of them, which is cool. Though I can't think of the girl's name, is Grace or something like that. She finished with you and she went right back to where I don't know what city it was. And I see that all the time. That's pretty cool. They come to you, they go to Utah, they go back to California. So there are homes for them, right? Or is there a shortage? There's just not enough homes.
Yeah, I mean, as far as like coming and staying in Vegas,
Yeah.
I don't know why they do it. Like, I would not want to in school go to Vegas. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need all that distraction. But I could see the approach, especially coming. I think she's coming from Boston, and I did that when I was in Michigan. I went to Phoenix, so I timed that out for like spring because I wanted to get out of Michigan, get out of that cold. So it's definitely appealing. But there's a lot of opportunity in Vegas. It's definitely a growing market. I think there's a lot of places that are continuing to build up. You look at all these new neighborhoods that pop up. I think the one thing is just the housing cost, right? I mean, rent is super high. I'm still not a homeowner. I rent. So I think the only way you get there, right, is you get into work and just start saving.
My mother-in-law is 84 years old and she recently had hip replacement. So Zach, she goes to Physical and Zach takes care of her for a good 6 to 8 weeks. So I go walking with her once a week and she says, that Zach is so handsome. And I meet all her girlfriends and mahjong players. They play at Del Webb. And I walk in and she goes, Eric, tell me about this Zach. I go, he's my physical therapist. She goes, I hear he's very handsome. I said, I go, Rosie, you have to have something wrong with you. So I'll break my leg. It's so funny.
Oh my gosh.
And I
Yeah,
said,
go
yeah,
to the doc. They'll find something. They'll send them over.
yeah. So yeah, you
Yeah,
got
that's
that. You
great.
got those accolades. Let's get back to sports for a second. Did you play sports
Yeah, buddy.
growing up? Did you play ball? Anything?
Yeah, I played baseball, like t-ball, that stuff, and then when I got to high school, I really focused on wrestling and football, and then I stuck with football just the last 2 years. I probably should have stuck with wrestling. I think I was probably better at that, but just football is just the team sport, man. The camaraderie, especially like Midwest town, like all like You watch those movies where it's like Friday Night Lights. It's that's you can't ever beat that. And I think what I hear all the college and pro players say is like, that like community thing is awesome. Like you don't ever get that at the next level. So it was great. I loved it. And that's kind of what got me into this profession was just, my athletic career was a wrap. I'm 6'2", 205 if I bulk up a little bit. So you see all these other guys. There's no way I was going to compete at that next level. But I play defensive end and on offense. So it's great, man. Like I love it. And I still watch a ton of football. It's definitely my favorite sport to watch.
That's why I see that competitive nature in you when you work, and I see you want to help and do that. And that, I'm big on teaching kids and trying to steer young kids towards sports. It's the greatest thing because it teaches competition, and you have competition in your business. The over and unders came out for the NFL the other day, and the Lions are, and I bet it, the Lions are over under 9.5. The Raiders are 5.5. So you got to jump on that because don't you think, Zach, that after the draft they're going to go up if you have a decent draft? So point is, if you live in this town and you want to do a future, Zach follows sports. He's a big Lions fan, Michigan fan, Tigers, Pistons. Who's the other team? I'm like the Red Wings, all that stuff. 9.5 wins. What did you guys have last year? 14? The Lions.
What did we end up
15.
going with? Because yeah, we didn't have the playoff win. I think it was 15. Wasn't it 15-2? And then we lost the divisional round.
Yeah, you had the bye. You beat Minnesota to get the bye. So you had 15. Well, Minnesota went 14-3. So you went 15-2. All right. So I think over 9.5. And it's weird because when I grew up, when I was your age, what are you, 29, 30? How
Be
old are you?
32 in just a couple weeks, man. Starting
Okay,
to
the
get the
Lions
grays coming
sucked.
in.
Right. Yeah, we'll get you.
Yeah,
We'll get you some of those old ladies from Del Webb to come over and get your birthday cake. Some of them have a lot of money, Zach. You say you're renting right now. You could be owning something
yeah,
very
man.
soon.
I've had my
Anyways,
thoughts, no doubt.
I get it. When I was your age, the Lions sucked. Now, and the Pistons were good, and the Red Wings had that run with Stevie Eiserman. Now,
Mhm.
are the Lions the toast of the town of Detroit?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely like I was talking about this a while back. It's like flying back into Michigan, flying into Detroit. Everybody's rocking their Detroit Lions gear. You got Detroit Lions flags on all the houses. Like that definitely was not the case growing up, right? It was like all Michigan or Michigan State. I mean, there was like photos of Lions fans wearing bags over their head, like when they went to that like uh, like winless season and stuff. So it's cool to see that. I think definitely like hockey, baseball, like it's definitely a big town for sports in general. And yeah, you mentioned the Pistons. The Pistons are they're kind of on the edge of a playoff run too. So it's cool to see just everything come together, right? Like April in the D is like the sports theme, right? So you've got Red Wings, Tigers, Pistons all coming out. So it's exciting, man. And I don't know why like the over under is 9.5 for the Lions. Like I don't know who they lost. I think the window is still wide open.
I could be wrong. I saw one. I'm looking now. One's 11.5. One's 9.5. I would definitely bet the over on the 9.5. 11.5.
Jump on
That's
that.
yeah. Jump on that. Raiders five
Well,
and a
it's a
half.
tougher division probably now, right? I mean, unless because you got Vikings, they got JJ McCarthy now. He could be a stud this year. That's debatable, right? But it's still a great defense. And then Bears, like everybody's riding high hopes with the new coach. So maybe it's that. Maybe you lost the offensive play call. But I've always been under the philosophy it's like not the X's and O's, it's the Mikes and Joes. You know what I mean? Like I think you can only call so many trick plays and do so many things, but you just need to have ballers. You need to have guys that just compete and win games. I don't see anybody they lost that is not going to still get them at least division win, getting into playoff again. We just don't want to play the Commanders again. Just give me anybody else with those guys.
Well, the NFL is one league that you could always bounce back. You have a 3-win season, like the Commanders last year, the year before, and they go back and win. They get Jaden Daniels. They get 11 wins. But we're 6 months away. The draft is coming up. I think you hit it in the nail on the head. I think the NFC North is the best division in football. I think Caleb Williams could be a stud with good coaching. Green Bay, youngest team in the league. They went 12-5. You guys and the Vikings. JJ McCarthy's a real deal, and I'm rooting for the kid. So are you. He's a Michigan grad.
Oh yeah.
So It's been fun. And then, like I said, this great time of the year. You got the Masters coming up. You got, the baseball season just started. We're heading towards Elite Eight. Again, the NBA and NHL playoffs. There's always something going on. Um, Quick question for you. My brother said, I said, my buddy's on, he runs his clinic. He goes, ask Zach this question. I'll throw him on the spot for a second. How many actual bones and muscles are there in the human body? Do you know that by just, it's got to be it's probably an amount
Two,
that you would say it's nuts, right?
217, 219. Can you Google it?
Bones,
Yeah.
bones to see. I said I would say over under 150. I'd say under. So 217. Wow.
We
Oh,
got how many bones in the body?
oh, he's gonna check it out. See, he's gonna cheat.
206. Where did I get the
Oh,
213th from? I think as you're in infants. Oh
so
man, yeah, I was way off. So yeah, as a baby, when you're born, you have 270 bones, and then some of them fuse together. So they say adults about 206. So I was a
how
little bit
about
off.
muscles? I would say over under 50 muscles, under or over
Oh
muscles.
man, I think you've got like 40 some muscles just in your face alone because of like your expressions and your lips and eyes and all that stuff. I wouldn't
Yeah.
even be able to tell you all that. No
So
doubt.
so
Yeah, that's a lot, man.
where I'm going with this is that in your education for being the anatomy, because you do shoulders and arms and hips, everything, you have to know all that stuff. I'll be honest with you, I had a problem with my hand literally 8 years ago, and I just couldn't, pain right here, right? X-rays, they said you need surgery, and I'm going to Jimmy for my back. Jimmy took his forearm, we call Jimmy the killer in his company, right? And he put his forearm right into this part, and he put his elbow into my forearm, and I screamed so loud they heard me in Henderson, which is a good 30 miles away from his clinic. Pain gone in the hand. So that's what I love about what these guys know, is they know every part of your body. What was that old saying? The funny bone's connected to the hip bone and stuff like that. It's it's nuts. It's like I said, it's an art in what you do. If you had to talk about, if you couldn't show us, but if you have lower back problems, okay, is there something you could tell our audience that they
Yeah, I
could do
thought
the
about
way
it
they sit?
today.
What?
I thought about it today because yeah, we were kind of talking about like, hey, is there something that you could do specifically for like the back stuff? And I think my thing today would be getting an MRI for your back. Everybody says I got to get an MRI, I got to get this image, I got to see what's going on in there. So I got a couple facts that I pulled up that I just wanted to go through real quick because I think that that's the important part first because so many people get worked up about if they're if can I do exercise? I've got this disc issue, I can do this exercise. Well, there is so much stuff, man. Um, so just for example, so this study here, they took 1,200 people. This was like people are 20 all the way to 80 years old. The criteria is you couldn't have back pain. So if you didn't have back pain, you could get in this study. And then they did an MRI in your back. And here's what they found. They were trying to figure out like how many people out there have disc herniations, disc protrusions, bulging discs, disc degeneration. Here's the stats. A 20-year-old out there that did this study, 37% of all the 20-year-olds in the study had disc degeneration at 20 years old. 30% of them had a disc bulge at 20. So then you go to 50 years old. How many people have disc bulges at 50? 60% of people out there, right? Protruding discs. Then you get to 70. It's almost 80% of people have bulging discs. So my point is this, and these are people that don't have back pain, right? So my
Wow.
point is this: if you say my back hurts and you go get an image and they say, man, like you got a bulging disc, you've got this disc protruding out, that's why it hurts. So we should probably get in there and do surgery. The other fact is they said, all right, let's take one person that does have back pain. Let's send them to 10 different clinics to get an MRI. So they did this, came back. That person had 43 separate diagnoses from these 10 clinics. They couldn't even agree together. There was no one condition that they found that all the clinics found. Like two of the clinics said that they've got a disc herniation in all of the L1 through 5s. and then 2 of them said they only had a disc herniation at just one spot. So my point is this: if you go out and get the image, what they find might not be what's causing your pain. And the second part is if you do have a disc issue or something going on in the back, that means just, hey, it could be just normal age related stuff. There's 20-year-olds that have the same thing. You probably can still exercise. So my biggest thing is if you do have that issue, go see somebody first if you want to like make sure you can do something. But most people can deadlift, they can lift with their back, they can do all these different exercises. You may just need to change what you do, but don't use this MRI or some image to tell you what's going on, because chances are it might not be explaining why you actually hurt in the first place.
Huge. That was, when you have these moments when you do a podcast and it's okay, what's your spot moment? What you just said, 43 different diagnoses,
It's crazy, man.
20 years
I
old.
don't even know how to list all those, you know?
But wait, what got me, not so much a 16, 7 year, but a 20-year-old has 30% of bulging. I mean, it's crazy. With 20-year-old, when you were 20, and you're closer to 20 than I am, but you were invincible. Remember when you got a chest cold when you were 20, you were over it in 12 hours, or fit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
No
just
warm up
wow.
needed. You could just go right out, play a game, go lift, right? Like you didn't need to warm up. You didn't need to stretch. You could go
Right.
drinking the night before, then wake up early the next morning, go to work like nothing. Like your recovery is like crazy, right? And if you do have back pain, chances are this is a little flare up and it goes away. But yeah, that to me just shows like it does not matter what that image says most of the time. It's going to be a lot of other symptoms and then your response to trying different things before you should even think about surgery or taking a bunch of pills, any of that stuff.
If I can give any advice to our listeners and viewers out there, is when Zach or someone from his facility or any physical you go to gives you an exercise program, you've got to take your homework and take it home. If you do the exercises, it makes his job easier and it makes your recovery quicker. I learned that. I learned the hard way the first time. That feels great. It was 10 years ago. And 5 months later, I didn't do any exercises that these guys gave me. I was an idiot. And now you do it. So and they'll write you a program. Zach will send me things, send me texts of movements and stuff I need to do. And the bottom line is you want to live your life without pain. And these guys, that's their job. Their job is to get you painless. So I'm a big fan. That's Zack McConnell, Physical, West Cheyenne, and Fort Apache. Got anything you want to say before we get out of here, buddy?
No, man. You got excited for baseball kicking off. Hockey. I don't know if you're too big of a hockey fan or not, but it's getting exciting, man. The playoff
I
runs
am.
coming up. There's a lot of teams like right on the bubble of getting in, and I was super happy with that like four nation face off. I don't know if you caught any of those games,
I
but like,
watched it all. Watched it all.
oh man, like that just was incredible. And then now I'm watching like NCAA and the fouls and this stuff. I'm like, dude, this guy just got punched in the face and he gets a 2-minute penalty and then comes out and scores. Like it's just,
It,
I love. I mean, I wish I would have played hockey. I think growing up because it's just, man, it is fun to watch that.
it's fun. I'm guarantee you, I never played, but it has to be one of the most fun games to play. It just if you can you imagine getting a pickup game with your buddies and it's going to get hockey's hockey. It's competition. That stick's going to go in your rib. You're gonna size the other guy up. One last question, sports wise. I asked my customers this also because of hockey. I'm a big hockey guy. Alexander Ovechkin is 6 goals away from breaking the great one, Wayne Gretzky's all-time goals. Do you think Zach McConnell that there should be an asterisk next to him because he played like 10 more years? Because I'm one of those guys that say, okay, if you play 18 football games and you break a record that a guy did in 14, you got to mention that. Are you one of those guys?
Well, I think yeah, it's like that with him. It's probably like that with Jordan and LeBron, and like
Yeah.
LeBron's got the all-time points. But yeah, you look at like volume that you played, and I think the thing with hockey though is crazy is like how physical that game is. So it's like you're an Iron Man to be able to play that many games. Like you've got to have extreme luck, and then just also be just a badass to not have injuries knock you out for. I don't know how old he is. What is he? Almost like 40 now.
Yeah. He played a lot
I mean,
longer
it's
than
crazy.
Gretzky did. But it's still a
So
great
yeah,
record. Yeah.
It's
I mean,
still fantastic, but yeah, I mean, certainly. And then, like, even though you got the most goals, like, there's so many other factors to the game. But cool, I wouldn't want to take anything away from him. I just, when I look back at some of those old school hockey dudes, like, they didn't have helmets. Like, I look at like Gordie Howe in like that era, dude. That's crazy. And the goalie didn't even have like the Jason mask until what, like the 70s and 80s. Like, it's nuts. I almost think all those records and those guys back then, it's like more impressive just for that standpoint. It's like, that's nuts.
take it. Wait, one last thing before we get you out of here. I know you're busy. That's a great little segue to think about what sports medicine has done to sports now and people like you. Because back in those days, I actually heard Bobby Orr. Remember Bobby Orr is a great player with the Boston Bruins back in the day, helmetless. He said we had a trainer, and the guy might have went to Saskatchewan Tech, and he knew how to tape you. But at least the sports teams nowadays all have a sports medicine guy like you on staff, and I guarantee you know people in your business that have gone on to work for teams, and it's a great gig. But it's good to know that people like you have the knowledge could help these athletes nowadays. Because God, the way they hit nowadays, and the way these guys, the athletes nowadays, no wonder why there's more injuries and stuff like that.
No
So
doubt. It's an
Detroit,
investment for those teams, man. I
yeah,
mean, you
sure.
think about it, like, you pay a guy, how much is the Dodgers guy making this year?
Which guy, the
The
trainer?
pitcher.
Well, Otani's got a $700 million contract, but it's all deferred. The Dodgers payroll, like we said, is 500 something $1 million. So
So
it's
think about one of
it,
those guys going down. It's like, you have a couple guys go down, and that's 100 mil out of that payroll. Like, that's nuts. So yeah, the teams are definitely going to invest all this money and resources to keeping those guys out there, because if they're not out there, they're not making the plays, they're not winning, right? So
I
yeah,
heard
it's a huge money game.
I heard the Dodgers have 7 Zack McConnells on their staff to stretch you, and that they, they can afford it. So because
That's
those, I
yeah,
mean,
man.
I'm sorry, not the Dodgers. Who was it? It was an NFL team. The Patriots have 7 guys because, of course, they got to get stretched, and some condition sport. The Raiders have a huge conditioning staff, and it's
Yeah,
great. Thank God we have that. They didn't have that back when I was a kid. Like I said, they had
no
one guy
doubt.
who was a trainer that taped you up, and they got injured back then. One last question: Detroit is like Cleveland. It's called Detroit Rock City. You've got Eminem, Kid Rock, Ted Nugent, Kiss. Who's your favorite band out of Detroit?
Man, yeah. I mean, Eminem growing up, that was like every white boy's like idol, right? Like, I remember listening on the bus, and you got the BD and the hoodie on. Yeah, and so yeah, probably Eminem's the guy. Ted Nugent though, man. Yeah, just old school rocker. There was a lot of great acts that come out of there. I think my one beef with Detroit music, everybody likes that Journey song, Don't Stop Believing, right? And then they say born and raised in South Detroit. Tell me where South Detroit is. If you look on the map, there's no South Detroit. It's a river. It's the St. Clair River. So that's like, that just pisses me off when I hear that song, actually.
Journey's from San Francisco. They're a San Francisco based band. So what do they know about South
Yeah,
Detroit? Yeah.
they clearly don't.
Thank you, Zack McConnell,
Yeah, buddy.
Physical. They said West Cheyenne. If you need to go see this guy, you got to get a referral. They're busy, could be waiting, but they have 5 clinics throughout the greater Las Vegas Valley. I'm gonna try and get Zach on once a month because sports. We can give him shit
Yeah,
about
man.
the all the Detroit teams. So, Zach, I appreciate you doing this, and I'll see you Wednesday.
Hey, yes, sir. You're gonna get it then on Wednesday, man. Be
Thank you.
limbered up when you come in.
Thank you. I heard, stay with me. Before you get it, stay with me. Zack McConnell, Fat Fish, Wednesday, 100th episode. Brad's coming back.